Hey everybody, this is Perch, and a couple titles to talk about new comics coming out and a couple more bigger retcons, other things happening. We are on the verge of seeing some solicitations, most likely next week. So a couple things to talk about. The kind of biggest news, the biggest new launch is that DC is once again returning to zombies. In a title for DC versus Vampires and Task Force Z. So this is it's two kind of different books, Task Force Z and then DC versus Vampires. Matt Rosenberg will be doing both series. Who is at this point, Matt he's a DC writer, I think at this point. But Task Force Z is going to have some backup stories in Detective Comics. Task Force Z is basically someone is taking dead criminals from the A-Day event, from the Arkham event, and resurrecting them for a zombie version of the Suicide Squad, more or less. So basically, undead Arkham Asylum inmates resurrected as zombies, going to basically be formed to do some kind of a mysterious benefactor is forming a new Task Force Z. I mean, if you're calling them Task Force Zombie, like you're asking for trouble at that point. It's like you arrange like this special elite team, Task Force going to betray us and bite us and run amok team. I mean, why would you label it zombie? That's just asking for trouble. It's like, we're gonna call this this new airline crashes a lot. Like, don't do that. Anyway, the Red Hood, Jason Todd, is going to be leading the zombie team that appears to be comprised of a handful of people, including Bane. So Jason Todd, the pitch or the hook is that Jason Todd knows what it's like to be dead because he was killed by the Joker. And now he's got to unravel this mystery of who's bringing them back to life. Bane, Man-Bat, Arkham Knight, Sundowner, and Mr. Bloom. So this is coming out in October. And then the other book coming out, that's a one-shot, apparently. Then there's a 12-issue series, which is a pretty hefty commitment, is DC versus Vampires, which, again, it seems like it's trying to pull from the deceased kind of mentality. Once again, this is Rosenberg, this time teamed up with James Tynion and Otto Schmidt. Definitely, this is. I think there's definitely a desire here to make this the big thing. A secret army of vampires will attempt to overrun Earth under the Justice League's watch. So what's unclear about both of these is if they appear rooted in current continuity. Granted, this is the Omniverse, and none of that means anything now. But Task Force Z, because they're referencing A-Day and everything else, feels like it is set in current continuity. Maybe this is the way they're going to figure out how to bring Bane back to life, because it feels like Bane has to be coming back to life. But we'll see. DC versus Vampires, again, it doesn't say. But it feels like that one could be an alternate, deceased type reality. But who knows? The cover shows Green Arrow and Batman surrounded by vampires hacking away. So I think we'll know relatively quickly if characters start being turned into vampires and other things, whether it's real or not. But anyway, both titles are going on sale at the end of October. So 2 more books. DC really starting to push the upper limits of 60 titles a month. But this is, again, a one-shot, a 12-issue series spanning a year. So 2 new books from DC there. And then there is the announcement yesterday of Netflix is announcing a new spy thriller, which is both a movie. I think it's a movie, not a series, as far as we can tell. And then there will be a graphic novel as well. It's called King of Spies. And the basic premise is that, you've got basically the world's greatest secret agent learns that he has cancer. Not cancer. I've got it all wrong. He's diagnosed with a brain tumor. He's got 6 months left to live. Brain tumors always feel like the thing that's not actually going to kill you. Like you have a brain cloud, or maybe it's just I watched Joe versus Volcano too much as a kid. Anyway, King of Spies by Mark Millar. We do not have the artist yet, but Mark Millar is promising a one that will blow your socks off. A really incredible artist. We don't know who it is yet, but it's coming. And again, this secret agent diagnosed a brain tumor, 6 months less to live. He decides that he saved the world so many times, he can't leave us in a mess. So he decides to go after, quote unquote, the real monsters, use his particular set of skills, repair the damage he did in his private life. And basically, he's going after all the where the bodies are buried. He's going after the people who maybe he protected back in the day. So Mark Millar, going back to the spy genre, he's good at it. Kingsman certainly was a big hit for him. So, graphic novel in concert with a movie. Over at Marvel, this isn't technically a new title, but the Marvel Masterpieces. And I just find this relatively absurd. So the Marvel Masterpieces were a trading card set once upon a time, and they are doing basically variant covers from those masterpieces. I do not believe these are new pieces of art. I think this is from Joe Gisco, and they're just basically reprinting those, and so this will go as well. So pretty much almost all their titles are getting these variant covers by the Marvel Masterpieces by Joe Gisco. I've heard that their omnibus collections are going to start doing variant covers for those. Which, I mean, we're doing variant covers for trades and omnibuses now. I mean, what are we doing? Anyway, lots of new titles to talk about. If you were watching this channel like 6 months ago, I want to say, I don't know, it's been a while. It's hard to tell in time. You might have heard I mentioned that The Darkness would be returning as a relaunch. We got additional confirmation. All the other news sites decided to cover it yesterday. So Mark Silvestri returning his character The Darkness to an ongoing title in 2022 from Image and Top Cow. So this is what's unclear is how much Mark Silvestri is teaming up with artist Christopher Mitten, colorist Brian Valenza. So it looks like Silvestri is writing this. It's unclear how much he will be involved or whether it will be another team kind of pushing it forward. But definitely The Darkness, another title returning that's been gone for a decent length of time. So anyway, quite a few, some horror books, some other things, a little bit of everybody is doing something. You saw the news earlier that the WildCATS returned in the Batman, was it Batman Urban Legends, right? Which Batman book was it that the WildCATS did return? So at the end of Batman Urban Legends in this story, they do promise more to come, and that WildCATS will be returning basically within DC. So we're expecting that 2022 has some decent new announcements from WildCATS. I would still love for them to do what I said. Just roll out as it was. Don't try and integrate it into the DC universe. You're making a mistake there. But anyway. And then for what it's worth, not a new title, but The Flash, the Wally West version, who murdered everyone in Heroes in Crisis. We've continued to retcon a little bit of that moment where he's not responsible, that the explosion wasn't Wally West. It was the surge. And here's where, I'll just leave you this. This is where editorial, more than the writer, has to step in and not let this kind of stuff go on. I know this is, in theory, from what we've heard, Dan Didio was responsible for some of this with Tom King, but you shouldn't, as a company, you can't roll this stuff out, make these kinds of changes, and then, proceed to put yourself in a position where you have to then go back and retcon it like 4 different times in order to clean up this mess. The Wally West situation is a gigantic effing mess, no matter how you put it. They wanted to do a shock moment with character. They weren't committed to how they were going to follow it up. They then tried to change it a little bit with the Lobdell and Booth series, and they brought it back a little bit for an annual, and then they changed it again during Death Metal, and now they're changing it again in Flash. This is the definition of chaos. You don't do this. This is damaging for the character. It in many ways, the do it, then change it and retcon and adapt, all that kind of stuff. I mean, the question mark is, was it more damaging for the character to just leave him a mass murderer, or to, alter the moment multiple times to get to here? Which is the one that comes off stupider? I ask you. Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, some new titles. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course. And thank you for listening.